Good evening folks, and welcome to Whisky Review number 2 with me, Stuart, the Bold Whisky Reviewer. Even bolder than I was the last time. Thanks very much guys for those of you who have left me feedback from my first whisky review. A couple of things were commented upon, and I'll take them on board and I'll learn, I'll get better as I go on. So yeah, thanks for tuning in to number 2. And number 2 is going to be another malt, another single malt, and another malt I quite enjoy, mainly because again it's another sweet one, and I want to do a couple of malts that I'm reasonably familiar with, just to get me going before I start getting in about malts which are going to cause me they're going to cause my tongue more confusion, if you like. So anyway, enough waffle to start with. Tonight's malt is Glenmorangie, or Glenmorangie, depending on how you want to pronounce it, Lasanta. It's 12 years old, it's 46% alcohol, it's non-chill filtered. I don't do a lot of research on my whiskies, just a kind of cursory glance here and there, mainly because I don't want to be too influenced by what websites have to say or what other reviews have to say, although obviously I have listened to lots of whisky reviews. So, but this I do know spends 10 years in American oak refill bourbon barrels before being decanted to spend 2 years in sherry barrels from the Oloroso region of Spain. So let's have a look at this. Pop it open. Candid camera moment there. As you can see, I've taken a couple of nips out of this already. But again, cork. I do love a whisky with a cork on it. It's a minor thing, I know, but. So we'll pour a healthy dram. And we'll have a look at it. So again, look at that colour. That is a beautiful amber, goldy amber colour. It's a little bit darker than the Ardmore, which was the first whisky we reviewed. And again, non-chill filtered, so expect this to be quite a mouth-filling whisky, a kind of tongue-coating whisky. And again, you can see that, you might not see it, you probably won't see it in the camera actually, but thick, slow-running legs, nice bead of whisky around the glass there. So anyway, let's have a little nose of the Lasanta. It's quite a sweet, again, quite a sweet whisky. Not as citrus as the Ardmore. If I was this one, I don't know if this might make sense to some of you. This one has a darker smell to it. I don't know if the colour's influencing me there, because it's a bit of a darker colour, but this one's more forest fruits rather than citrus fruits. There's a kind of, it's kind of raisiny, dusty. I know that probably doesn't make sense, but very much a dark fruit, slightly kind of date, raisin, sultana. Lovely smell. It is a really lovely smell. It's not as prickly. It's not as sharp as the Ardmore. There's not as much nose prickle with this one. There's a little bit of prickle, but not as much. Again, it is very kind of, it is dark fruits, raisins. Let's try it. That's really nice. Long finish with this one. Long finish. It's still there yet. The finish is slightly dry, which surprises me given how sweet it is on the nose and how sweet it is on the entry. As it goes in, again, it's kind of dark fruits. It is very coating, very oily, slightly nutty. There's a little hint of dark fruits and peanut butter. For some bizarre reason, I'm getting peanut butter with this one. There's a slight oiliness on the nose. Again, it is kind of, it's harder. This one's harder to describe than the Ardmore. The Ardmore had an overriding, for me anyway, had two overriding smells, which was kind of lemon and peat. This is much more complex. So, and it is maybe a bit too challenging a whisky for me at this stage of my kind of whisky tasting experience, but yeah, distinct dried raisins, dried sultanas, little bit of fig in there. Not a huge lover of figs, but in this case it works quite well. So what we'll do, as always, add a little splash of water. Not too much. At 46%, you know, you can add a reasonable amount of water, but again, it's gone slightly cloudy with it being non-chill filtered, which you'd expect. And on the nose, the little splash of water has opened it up and it's made it a little redder. I said at the start it was quite dark. With the water, sorry, the fruits have become a bit redder. They've gone from being your dark raisins, your dark sultanas, your dates, your figs. They've gone. There is distinctly more forest fruit here. There is kind of strawberry and raspberry. It's slightly jammy. Again, it's emphasised the sweetness actually. It's taken the dustiness away. It's taken that kind of, I don't know how else to describe it actually, as a kind of dark dustiness. That's gone with a little bit of water. And it's become a bit fresher, it's become a bit fruitier. And again, on the tongue, red fruits again are the defining character of this with a little splash of water. There's still a little hint of raisin, there's still a hint of darkness there, but it is much fresher, it's much redder. The finish with a splash of water isn't as long. So there's a balance there. For me, it's a bit less intense. But it is sweeter, and as I've said before, I like a sweet whisky. So from my viewpoint, I think I would add, if I was just drinking this, I would add a splash of water to it. I like it I like it redder rather than darker, if that makes sense to anybody. I like the forest fruits. I like the strawberries, the raspberries, bit of blueberry, a little bit of red currant, as opposed to the dried fruit that you get without adding water. Nuttiness, the nuttiness that's there without water is reduced. You're not getting the same hint of peanut butter that you were getting without the water. And there's no bite to this with water in it. There's no sharpness. It's very smooth. Still quite oily with it being non-chill filtered. It's still, even with water, still quite coating. There's still a little bit of, there is still a little bit of dryness on the finish. Given that it's spent 10 years in bourbon barrels, I'm surprised at how little vanilla there is. I was expecting a lot of bourbon matured whiskies are quite vanillaed. You don't really get that. I think the 2 years in the sherry cask is really overpowering that's the dominant flavour for me. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It is a nice, sweet, fruity whiskey, and I like it. I like it a lot. Sweet at the front. Like I said, oranges, Sharpsture, strawberries, red currants, raspberries. At the back, that little bit of, it is drying at the back. Finish with water, medium, not as long as the finish without the water. But I think that's more than compensated for by the increase in sweetness, the increase in freshness. So, marks out of 10 for me, 8 and a bit maybe. I think I gave the Ardmore 8 out of 10, and I think Ardmore's one of my favourites. Do I like this more than the Ardmore? I like it as much, so certainly I'm going to give it an 8. When would I drink this? I don't know, is the short answer, and I think that's where I struggle with this whiskey. Ardmore, I would say, was very much an after dinner, after dessert. This is more of just a with friends dram, I think. I wouldn't necessarily say this, you can't really put a time on this one. But I like it. I don't like it any more than the Ardmore. I don't like it any less than the Ardmore. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for this as well. Next time, I will be doing a blend. I've already got the blend in mind. I've actually already got the blend in the cupboard. But I'm not going to be doing it tonight. I will do it at some point soon. So until the next time, guys and girls, enjoy your dram. Don't have any drama with your dram. Please drink responsibly and all that good stuff. Obviously, don't drink and drive. I'm a keen cyclist, so don't drink and cycle either. But stay tuned, and until next time, cheers. Thank you.